it's been 2 weeks since I shifted from Windows to Linux, and in particular Linux Mint 19.2, and it's been quite a ride. I am so satisfied with my new setup, my new distribution, and everything works. There are some things that I would like to be different, and I can mention it maybe right away. The thing that I don't like with my particular distribution is that my monitor is showing only 60 Hertz refresh rate, and I know my LG monitor can run 75 Hertz, and I did find some. Well, let me show what I think. Yes, I did find some codes I could run. For instance, this one, xrender -q, and then here we can see the sizes and refresh rate my monitor can manage. We can see that system prefers 60 Hertz, and it is also what I run. However, here you can see that my monitor can run actually 75 Hertz. But when I do that, this happens. So we fire up this piece of code or command. Xrender output HDMI. I use HDMI cable, and mode, which my is 2560 1080, and rate 75 Hertz. However, let's see what happens. This flickering happens, and yeah, it's annoying. Who would like to have that? So, but I did test this in other distributions. MX Linux did the same, and I just tried Live CD from Manjaro Linux, and it did the same. So I don't know. It must be something in the kernel. I have no clue. I'm a total newbie in regards to Linux, although I did play with Linux for almost 15 years now. But you know, on and off, and I think this sucks. I did revert. I can show you this software manager. No, let's go to update manager. Linux kernels. I run currently 5.00.27 kernel. The one that comes pre-installed with my version of Linux Mint is this one, 4.15.0.62. And when I run this one, this kernel, and I change to 75 Hertz, then I believe it does not flicker. But it flickers in later kernel versions. And I would like to know why. How can I get rid of flickering and still running 5.0 kernel version? This is something that is very puzzling to me, of course, because I don't know how to solve it. I've searched on internet and I've found a lot of information, but you know, it's often very redundant information, and it's so vast. It's, you know, it's easy to get lost in all that information, and you know, it's also so difficult to pinpoint your hardware and match with the solution, you know, proposed solution on internet. It's so difficult, in my opinion, so far. So yeah, this is flickering when I run 75 Hertz. So what I have to do is to run first 50 hertz, then I go back to, and it looks fine, right? And then shoot 60 hertz, so at least I run 60 hertz, which is fine for the moment, but it actually sucks because I know my monitor can run 70 hertz. Yes, that is maybe the major annoyance I have with my Linux at the moment. Yeah, but what I like so far about Linux Mint, at least, I like and I actually love Cinnamon. It's just fabulous. And you know, guy coming from Windows, it's great that I can just press Windows button and this happens. Window comes up, window menu, right? I can just write whatever I want. Let's say I want FileZilla, enter, and it comes right there. It shows. Again, I want Audacious or Audacity. Let's try this, and it comes. So easy. So Cinnamon, in a way it operates, it's very similar to Windows, and I actually like it since I don't have to learn all the new exotic shortcuts. So Cinnamon is really something I enjoy. Also Windows plus E, and I get Nemo, and I really love the way Nemo organizes things and show files and folders to user. It's quite modular and very minimalistic in design, so it's something that I really like. Nemo, wonderful. What else? Settings, system settings in Linux Mint, at least Cinnamon version, is wonderful. It's so easy to find whatever you like, effects, themes. Oh yeah, themes, it's such a great thing to do and change. It's such an easy task to do in Linux Mint. As you can see, I am running dark version of Mint Y Aqua, and it looks great. I did try some others and they look similarly fabulous, and but at the moment I am running this version. Is just great. And by the way, I apologize for the sound of my voice. I'm a bit ill at the moment. Yeah, my throat hurts and nose is running from time to time, so I apologize for that, but hopefully you can hear what I'm saying. So system settings and themes, it's just great and easy thing to do in Linux Mint Cinnamon edition. All other things, you know, date and time, desktop, general section, languages, privacy, startup applications, wonderful thing to do, and to have Windows color for your display. Display is adequate, but what I miss very much in this section is yes, you guess it, the refresh rate option to choose your hertz size. So it does not exist at the moment, but it can be changed, as I just showed in terminal. But however, it is not a successful endeavor for me. It is flickering, screen is flickering, and I would like to find a solution to this problem I have. But it looks fine in system settings, tablets, if you use that. System info, very good overview over your hardware and operating system. Driver manager is is a very good thing if you're using some proprietary hardware, drivers, yes, I do have this Realtek driver for my wireless adapter. I'm using it, RTL 8812AU, and it's working. It did not work initially, but I searched on some Ubuntu and Linux Mint forums, and I did find a solution very quickly. It works well. Firewall, this is very fine thing to have. Firewall, yes. Login windows, users and groups, software sources, and so on. So it's a very good thing. Just like it's similar, just much more easier on your eyes than in Windows, I would say. Yeah. My programs, my apps, they work all in a great way. Since I've been long time Windows user, I used, of course, Windows professionally and privately. So I used to use, since I did work as a graphic designer for many years, I used Adobe programs, like Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, and so on. Premiere, of course, but also other proprietary software, especially in video editor, such as Sony Pro. And as we know, those apps are not available on Linux systems, and it's been hard. It's been hard to shift to something else, but I did actually. At the moment, of course, we all know GIMP, but I am using Krita. It is quite powerful program for image manipulation. It does have layers, just as in Photoshop, and a lot of options, just like in Photoshop. Of course, it's not as powerful as Photoshop, but it is, I would say, more than adequate for most of users, of course. So, for the moment, I am using Krita. Maybe I will try GIMP later on, of course. So, Krita for graphics. Scribus, this is just great program. As I mentioned, I am used to Adobe InDesign, but Scribus is quite powerful program to make catalogs, ebooks, books, resumes or whatnot. It's a wonderful tool, and it did take me some time to grasp all the possibilities, and the shortcuts and everything is just different. The looks, design is just different than in Adobe InDesign, but I did break the code, as they say, and I am actually using Scribus at the moment. Of course, since InDesign is not available on Linux, and I must say that Scribus is a quite good, powerful application. Internet, I am using, of course, I have Dropbox. It works just like it should. FileZilla. Firefox, actually, at the moment, I'm using as my primary, the only web browser. On my Windows, I did use Brave and Vivaldi and browsers, and I know that I can have them both on Linux as well. And I actually did try them, but since I installed this version of Linux Mint, I'm actually quite satisfied with Firefox at the moment. It's pretty good. There's Skype, and Skype is working actually much better than in Windows. When I spoke to one of my friends on Skype in Windows, we always had initial troubles with hearing each other in Skype, and it just works in Linux. And there's no problem hearing each other, and the quality of the sound is just superb and much better than in Windows, at least. That's my experience so far. Steam is working out of the box, of course, as a program, and they are, maybe, I think I saw it on protondb.com that, no, it was one other website, and out of 250 plus games that I have on Steam, more than 130 games work on Linux, and that is just amazing. And what is great, that most of the games that I play and like, they just work out of the box or through Proton in Steam, and that is just great. There is one caveat, and that is Far Cry 5 is not available through Proton nor natively in Linux, and it bugs me a great deal. But on the positive side, a lot of great games that I enjoy are available. And as you can see, I have Cities Skylines. Yeah, it's fully playable. And so is Football Manager 2015. Infested Planet, this little game that I enjoy a lot. And then Life is Strange Before the Storm is something that I am currently playing. And it's just, it plays great. Except that since I am using ultra wide screen, it doesn't show the whole screen. But it's okay, it's fine. Prison Architect is working, and a lot of other games, just as Arma 3, Talos Principle, I believe, works as well, and a whole bunch, Company of Heroes 2, and so on. All those games, at least for me, are available on Linux, and I am so happy about it, because I know when I tried Linux for the first time, and it was in the early 2000s, the concept of gaming was basically non-existent on Linux. You could play those small, card games and some flying penguins, whatever, and it was horrible. You could not play serious games on Linux for 10-15 years ago, more, but it all changed, and just seeing Steam client and Linux is epiphany to me, and it is one of the things that I am so happy about, and glad to see since I changed to Linux. So Steam, wonderful thing. Yeah, I'm running Synology Cloud Station Backup as well. In Office, I really tried to debloat my system when I installed Linux Mint, and I uninstalled most of other parts of LibreOffice, such as Base and Math and so on. However, I kept Calc and the Writer. Sound. I actually just until today, a few minutes ago, I used to run Rhythmbox, but it annoyed me so much, that you cannot. If you click that X box, in the right side, it just minimize the whole window of the program. it doesn't shut it down, and it was so annoying. So I shifted to Audacious, and it is just great. It is just great. Works well so far. My radio streams are there, and yeah, music, whatever I'm listening to, it works fabulously. It feels very lightish, much more lighter than Rhythm Box. At least that's my impression. Handbrake Olive. I am using actually Olive for video editing. So this is my alternative to Vegas Pro app and yeah, Adobe Premiere. So it is still in alpha stage, and but I am so hopeful, and I am so glad to follow this little project, and I really hope that it will succeed, because a lot of things that are already implemented in this software is it works great. Although it's still in alpha, it's just amazing. Of course, there's a lot of possibilities that are missing, but I hope that they will come in nearer future. Olive video editor is just a great piece of software that I'm using at the moment for making videos right now. What else do we have? Simple screen recorder for recording this session, seeing my desktop and hearing me, my sick voice. VLC media player. I am used to using this piece of software on Windows for years, and it's just the same Linux, so that's what I stick to. I did install Lutris yesterday, but I don't know. I am still trying to find out where is Lutris. Oh, it's not there. Ah, yeah, of course. It's because I just ran my time shift. Yes, I did have problems to seeing my secondary SSD, and I don't have that problem anymore, because I did make a restore in time shift. I had to do it because I didn't know how to solve my problem. It was probably quite easy, so I ran, and I also wanted to see if time shift works, and surprise surprise, it did. So kudos to time shift. This is a time and lifesaver for anyone on Linux, and I can just recommend it to the skies. Time shift is great application for making backups of your current system and restoring it, of course, if it's needed. So to sum it up, I've been so happy for my Linux Mint. Everything, or almost everything, works. As I said, only minor things that I hope I can solve in nearer future. This is mostly regarding that damn refresh rate for my monitor, my screen. So besides that, many things work as they should, and I am so happy about it. I guess that's it. A little update on my journey and Linux world. And so far, I did have, in the beginnings, I did have a few relapses, if you can call them that, Windows relapses. I really, just like a regular junkie, wanted to come back to Windows, because that is something I'm used to, and There were a few times where I really thought, oh man, this, I'm going back to Windows. That is my home, that is the world I know, and it's so easy to install, uninstall things, run apps, just double click on that exe file and it runs and it installs and it's everything's great. But I just take a deep breath for a moment and think, to myself, take it easy, man. It shall pass, and usually it does. And now, after 2 weeks, and 2 weeks later, since the initial installation of Linux Mint on my computer, I must say that those relapses are not that frequent anymore and almost not non-existent. So I think that I am actually I've come here to stay in Linux. I don't miss Windows, especially those data mining and those privacy breaches that are so common in Windows. Those things I do not miss. What I miss is the simplicity. Just installing things is much more simple in Windows, of course. And I wish it was easier and it was more unified way, the way you do things in Linux. They're not, every distro, or at least the main branches of distributions, have their own packaging managers and, and oftentimes they are very powerful, but also, they are so diversified and so different sometimes from each other, and it can be difficult to find things, but overall in Linux Mint at least it's very easy to install things when you're using software manager. If you just, as I mentioned before, Rhythmbox, you can just search it here, Rhythmbox, and it comes, and you can just double click and install it and remove it, and it works like a charm most of the times, at least. So it's getting better. It's getting better in Linux, but there is, of course, time and and place to a lot of improvements to come. I hope, and I'm sure that it will come in time. All in all, my experience with Linux for the last 2 weeks has been great. Of course, it's very easy to break things because you use your terminal a lot, just like if you... And, sometimes you just have to make some changes in some very critical files, just like, for instance, fstab. And I can show you here. And, sometimes you just have to put another line for, some function, I don't know, whatever. And this is where things go wrong, at least for me. Things break. I did experience it a few times on this machine. The graphical user experience was gone, and I couldn't log into my machine, so I had to go and fix fstab. Luckily, I did remember what I did the last and remove that line, and it worked. And this is really something that you don't have to do in Windows, at least not the same way, and that's why Windows work for the most people. People do not tweak and tinker with the essential files on their machines, and it is something that you have to do from time to time in Linux, and at least this is something that I can say about me. But from time to time I do break something in Linux, and then very often I'm just lost and I have to search the internet, or if I don't find the solution, then I have to do the restoration of your previously saved backup files, just as I told you in my time shift application. So other than that, Linux is great. I feel much more free in any possible way, and it is so refreshing to use a new operating system, a new distribution, and system that in many ways is not that far from the experience on Windows, which you can change if you like. But in my case, I do like that there are some similarities to Windows, at least function-wise, and in regards to using of shortcuts. This is something that I appreciate, at least in Linux Mint that I'm running at the moment. Yeah, that's it for now. Thank you and bye. I am. Oh, come on, man. I am. I'm used to you. Come on, what the fuck is called? It's called. Yeah, I am. I used